Okay, so yesterday we talked about just regular FOIL, all right? And regular FOIL just comes from two binomials that have nothing in common. You just FOIL it out. So let's go through one process of FOIL. That's your x times your x, which is x squared. Your x times your positive 3, which is a positive 3x. So anybody who was absent yesterday, this is what we did in 9-2. And then you distribute the 5 and do the 5 times the x and get 5x. And then the 5 times the 3 was 15. And when you FOIL, if it's set up correctly, you end up combining your two middle terms and bringing your two end terms down. So this is an x squared. Combine these two to get 8x. And then this just gets brought down, okay? So usually, when you multiply two binomials, the answer is a trinomial, okay? Unless you come across something called special product number 1, okay? Because there's going to be two special product, meaning shortcuts. That's what a special product means. It means something different goes on that allows you to use a shortcut as long as you understand the rules behind it and how it works. So special product number 1, I'm going to give you the name for it in a minute, but it starts out like this. Instead of x plus 5, you have x plus 5 and x minus 5. So right off the bat, you notice something about them. They both have 5s, right? But the difference is 1 5 is negative and 1 5 is positive. So I'm not just going to give you the shortcut. We're going to do a few the long way, FOIL it out, and see if you can kind of figure out what's going to happen every single time. So if I FOIL this out, I'm going to do x times x and x times negative 5. At some point, probably after this lesson, I'm going to stop drawing those arrows. So x times x, x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. Now let's distribute the positive 5. And positive 5 times x is positive 5x, which I already know you're looking at thinking, oh, that's all. Those are just going to cancel. That's right. But then what is a positive 5 times a negative 5? Negative 25, right? So you're looking at these, and when you go to cancel your two middle terms like we did up here and got 8, this time they give me 0. You will not put 0x. You won't just put x, because that means there's 1. You won't put anything. Your middle term is totally gone. So your final answer in special products number 1 is just x squared minus 25. So normally we see two binomials giving us a trinomial as a product. In special case number 1, two binomials, if the right ones, will give us another binomial as an answer. Okay? So the middle terms canceled. Totally canceled. All right, so let's take a look at another one. See if we can figure out this shortcut here. Let's take a minus 7 and a plus 7. FOILed out is a times a squared. A times positive 7, 7a. Negative 7 times a is negative 7a. And then a negative 7 times a positive 7 is negative 49, right? Once again, your middle terms are going to cancel, and your answer is going to be a squared minus 49. Okay. So, the pattern here, anybody see it? What's going to end up canceling every time? The middle terms. Now, there's more to it than that. What do you notice about the middle sign? It was always a what? A subtraction sign, right? And why? Explain to me why it was always basically a negative. Yeah. Yeah, because when you're multiplying the positive 5 times a negative 5, a positive times a negative is always a negative, right? And a negative times a positive. Doesn't matter the order they're in, it's always a negative. So the first thing, I guess, let's go back up here and label this real quick. So 15 is your end term, and I got it by multiplying. So do you agree that the end term is going to be a product, right? So if I look at what I started with, 5 and 3, 15 is what I got when I multiplied them. So then what is 8? 8 is what I get when I add them, and that's called a sum. So the middle term is a sum, and the end term is a product every single time. So when your middle term is a sum and it's gone, it means you had it equal to 0, and that's a product and a positive. So I want you to write, it will always be negative because a positive times a negative equals a negative, right? Let's do one more. Let's take 5r minus 3 and a 5r plus 3. So the first thing you have to be able to recognize is it set up the right way? Is this set up to cancel? Yeah. It has the same first term, it has the same last term, and one's plus and one's minus. So let's try this one without foiling. Very rarely do I tell you, you don't have to show your work, right? Well, you can skip as long as you understand what's going to happen and go right to the shortcut. So what's going to end up happening? It's going to be 5r times 5r, which is, 25r squared. And if I went to FOIL, I'm going to have a 15r and a negative 15r, right? So do I even need to write those? No. But then what comes next? A negative 3 times a positive 3, which is a negative 9. That is your answer.
Which one did we skip?
If I were to FOIL this out, I would have a positive 15r and then a negative 15r. And those would give me 0. So that's what we skipped. So let me give you a little thing over here. If I have a plus b times a minus b, that's minus. Here's your shortcut. A is the first spot. B is the second spot. One has to be a plus, one has to be a minus. Your shortcut is take A and square it, take B and square it, put a minus in between. That is how you will get every single answer if it's set up this way. Take 5r and square it. Take 3 and square it. Put a 9 in, or a minus in between. Okay? So let's try, now that we know that, let's say 4x minus 8y and 4x plus 8y. What is your A? It's 4x. Square it. 16x squared. What is your B? 8y. Square it. 8y times 8y is 64y squared, and a negative times a positive is a negative every time. Okay? So, this has a special name. I want you to kind of bubble this off somehow because this is the exact definition that will help you. And this product is called the difference of two squares. Now, let's talk about that. Difference of two squares. I don't see a square. It's not the shape. Okay, it's related to the shape. But we are going to talk about something coming up really soon called square numbers. And the square numbers are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. Anybody see a pattern? What would the next square number be? 36. You got it. After that, 49, 64, 81, 100. These are called the square numbers because I got them by squaring a whole number, right? This is 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6. So these, now that you know that, is that a square number? Yeah, 4x times 4x. Is that a square number? Yeah, 8y times 8y. And is it the difference of two squares? So that's where the name, the difference of two squares, comes from. Does that make sense? So this is special case number 1, the difference of two squares. Got it? So try this one right now on your own using the shortcut. 3x minus 5 and 3x plus 5. Okay? So try not to use FOIL. Just see if you can use that shortcut. Your answer should come real quick. What you got? Anyone? Sophia. 9x squared, yep, minus 25. Good, yep, okay, good. So, here's the deal. If all else fails and you forget, can you just go back to good old FOIL it all out the long way? Sure. And then you might have to do that a few times before you realize, oh yeah, this is the one where they cancel. Okay? So, what if we got fancy and did this? Let's take 8a squared plus 5y and 8a squared minus 5y. This one's a little trickier because you're squaring a squared, and that technically is the power of a power. So what is 8a squared times 8a squared? 64a to the 4th. Very good. And what is 5y times 5y? 25y squared. Difference. Right? Because a positive times a negative, this is a product, and a positive times a negative is a negative every time. Good so far? Okay, you may see it this way. 11 minus a, 11 plus a. Okay, so you're used to seeing the the variable in the first spot. You still do the same way. Square a, which is the first spot. I know that's tricky because that's a. Square your b term, which is the second spot. So this is going to be 121 minus a squared. That's it. Okay? Good on that? All right. So let's go to special case number 2. So everybody okay with difference of two squares? All right. Special product number 2. All right, so it's going to be very obvious right off the bat what makes it different, but we need to do some discovering and figure out how that makes our answer different. So we started out with an x minus 5x plus 5. Now we have an x plus 5 and an x plus 5. So will there be any canceling going on? No. We're going to talk about and try to figure out on your own what will happen then, because there will be a shortcut for this one too. First thing I want to ask you is this an acceptable way to write that? Yes, because basically you're just multiplying this binomial by itself, and squaring something is the definition of multiplying it by itself, right? So let's FOIL this out and see what happens. So I still am going to have my x squared. I'm going to have a positive 5x. And if it was the other one we did, right now, I would put a negative 5x and it would cancel. But instead, I have another positive 5x. So I have 2 of them, which means it doubles, right? Isn't double a word for you have 2? Now, let's see what looks at like the end. 5x, or 5 times 5 is what? So I'm going to write positive 25. Now I combine, they don't cancel, and this is x squared plus 10x plus 25. Okay? So we're going to see in a minute if we can figure out this shortcut, because we don't want to have to do this middle step every time. All right? So now to do that, I'm going to see.
So when you add them, you can just put a square?
Where?
Like on the sides?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. Well, we're not doing any adding. We're just saying this is the same thing as writing it that way. So this is, let's do x minus 5, x minus 5, and see what if you see anything, which is the same as x minus 5 squared, right? So let's predict. How do you think the answer to this will vary or change from this one? Do you think the end sign will still be a plus? Okay, why? You're right. Yes. He said he thinks the end sign is still going to be a plus because this time instead of multiplying 2 positives, you're multiplying 2 negatives, which still gives you a positive product. What do you think the middle term is going to be? Do you think it's still going to be 10?
No.
Okay, or maybe negative 10. We'll see. So x times x, there's your x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. And then I have another negative 5x. And just like William said, a negative 5 times a negative 5 is a positive 25. So this time when I go to add, you know what's cool? The x squared and the 25 are still the same. Except this time, when I have two negative 5s, I have a, like Sophia said, negative 10x. So here's what I want you looking at. When these were both positives, the end term answer was a positive, right? And so was the middle. For down here, when they were both negative, the end term was still positive, even though those were both negatives. Yeah, we already talked about why. But this time, that was negative. Does that go back along with what we talked about? This is a product and this is a sum. Listen very carefully. When we get into the end of this chapter, and we start to factor, these rules are going to be super helpful for you. Okay? So, what is watch this. You said this is a product, right? What's a negative times a negative? Positive. You said this was a sum, right? What's a negative plus a negative? Negative. Does that make sense? Negative times negative, positive. Negative plus negative, negative. And that's so important for you to see that, okay? So in this particular case, your middle terms don't cancel. They what? Double. We're going to say they double. And this time, the end sign will always be what? Yeah. So you're writing this. Will always be positive. And then you can put y in parentheses if you want. Because same signs equal positive in multiplication. Same signs don't always equal positive in addition, do they? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to show it to you right now. So, here's the shortcut. If I have an a plus b squared, don't I just take the a and square it? And don't I just take the b and square it? That part hasn't changed. That part is at least similar to the other one. The difference is I end up basically multiplying the x times the 5 together to get 5x, or negative 5x, and then doubling it. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to multiply the 2 in your parentheses together and then double it. So if you look for the formula in any algebra book, for this special case, I'm going to give you them in a minute, it's going to have something like that written out. So let's do another one. Let's do a minus in the middle. If I take an a minus b and square it, I'm still going to square a. I'm still going to square b. That's going to be a positive, except this time it's going to be a minus 2ab. So let's do this. So this plus means a plus here, and this minus means a minus here. So whatever the sign is that you're dealing with is the sign of your middle term, okay? Now, let's see this shortcut in action, because I know you're probably thinking, I need to see it done. So, without foiling it out, let's do one. Let's take a plus 10 and square it. So here's my shortcut. Square a, square b, and positive 10 times positive 10 is, okay? And now this is where you're going to multiply your two terms together and then double it. So a times 10 is 10a, and if you got two of them, you have 20a. Because watch, if I did, I'm going to a squared. Here's my 10a, right? here's my other 10a, right? And that's where I get the 20a from. And here's my 100. Okay? I think it makes more sense with a coefficient. Like if I take 4x minus 3 and I want to square it. In other words, I want to do 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3, which, by the way, could you just go ahead and do it out the long way and FOIL it? Sure. There will be a reason later, though, that you're going to really want to know how to do this. So take your a and square it. Take your b and square it. In other words, negative 3 times negative 3 is? Take these two and multiply them together to get negative 12x. Then double it. What term goes there? Hello? Yep, no problem. Okay, bye-bye. Emily. Do you see where 24x comes from? So, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. If I have two of them, I have a negative 24. Let's do another one. If I have 5a minus 6y squared, can't forget that squared, it means 5a times 6 minus 6y times another 5a minus 6y. Yes. The name of this one is called a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so we're going to talk about there's something that qualifies it as a perfect square trinomial. Okay, so 5a times 5a, 25a squared. 6y times 6y, or negative 6y times negative 6y, positive 36y squared. What is 5a times negative 6y? Negative 30ay, and double that, and you get negative 60ay. Got it? So, I'm going to give you one, and I want you to try it without me giving it to you. So, let's take 9x minus 7 and square it. Try not to FOIL. Just try to do the shortcut. Oh, I gave you, that didn't need to be, but you could do it. Bigger number. Square the first, square the last, multiply, then double to get your middle term. So the good news is the process for the first and last is the same. And the other one they cancel, and the other one it doubles. So you're going to have 9x times a negative 7, which is a negative 63x. And if you have two of those, you have a negative 126x. Got it? Okay. Here's what will happen. You will probably get these two confused. If I just taught you the first one and it canceled, woohoo, now you got this one to remember. So you really, what I'm asking you to do is not memorize. I'm asking you to think about it. If I give you x minus 7 and x plus 7, you're going to look at that and go, one's a positive 7 and one's a negative 7. That must mean the middle term will cancel. So when they're different, the middle term, this might be a good summary, will cancel. Okay? And then if you look at this and see an x minus 7 and another x minus 7, there's nobody that could look at that and go, a negative 7 and a negative 7 cancel. No, they don't. You have two. They just doubled, right? So in this case, your middle term will double. All right? So you got to really watch these signs. If it's two minuses, it doubles, or two pluses. If it's 1 plus and 1 minus, then it will cancel. Trying as much to help you out with these colors as possible. So when they're the same, it'll double. When it's different, and you know that's something you learned in 6th grade. That's neutral pairs, right? Okay? Everybody good on this?